Super learners, super leaders. Live4energy Training College. They're really piquing my curiosity with this one.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be onto something.
Their website, I mean, it's got me wondering, have they cracked some kind of code on like next generation learning? This is the stuff of science fiction.
Well, they're tapping into a growing trend, that's for sure.
Mm.
The traditional education system, it's limited.
It's definitely showing its cracks.
It is. And this idea of like incorporating consciousness and well-being into learning, that's what Live4energy is all about.
Okay, so let's dive into their approach.
Let's do it.
Their website talks about helping learners of all ages become super, their word, not mine,
Right.
by clearing something they call, get this, cellular trauma.
Hmm.
I'll admit that one threw me for a loop.
Cellular trauma. Well, it sounds a little out there, maybe even like a sci-fi novel, but it's actually a pretty straightforward idea. Unresolved emotional experiences, especially from childhood, they can really get in the way of learning.
Interesting.
Think of it like this. Your brain's a computer, right? Trauma is kind of like a virus messing with its processing power. Live4energy wants to, help clear out that metaphorical virus, so to speak, so your brain can, function at its best.
So like if you're trying to write an essay with a head full of static.
Exactly. You can't focus, you can't think clearly. It's about clearing out the noise.
Makes sense. But how are they tackling this cellular trauma? Do they even say?
They don't get into specifics on their website, which is, a little frustrating. They mention a 35-symptom chart to monitor students' progress. So it seems like they were trying to measure it, trying to quantify the impact.
Interesting. Data-driven self-improvement. Okay, now I'm really interested. And speaking of data, they've got some pretty impressive claims about the results they've seen.
Yeah.
Reduced PTSD, burnout, chronic fatigue. We're talking about some serious life changes.
It is an impressive list, for sure. But it's also important to remember that everyone's different. What works for one person might not work for another.
Of course, of course. But even if we take the testimonials with a grain of salt, the connection they're drawing between these deeper issues and learning, that's what I find really fascinating. Could addressing these things really be the key to unlocking a whole new level of learning?
It's a question worth exploring, and there's a growing body of research out there suggesting that there is a powerful link between our mind, our body, and, our ability to learn.
Yeah.
Live4energy might really be onto something here.
Okay, so we've got these deep-seated issues, right? They're tackling that, that's holding people back, but then it gets even more interesting.
More interesting, how so?
Live4energy, they claim they're using, get this, cutting-edge quantum field scientific and consciousness research. What does that even mean?
Quantum physics and education, huh?
Are we talking about, like, education, or are we talking about teleportation here?
It does sound a little out there, I'll admit. But that's what's so fascinating about Live4energy. They're taking these huge, complex ideas from quantum physics, consciousness research, all of it, and they're saying, how do we apply this to learning? It really makes you wonder if we're even using our brains, to their full potential when we learn.
So how does quantum physics connect to, like, reading comprehension? Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Right. That's a good question. Now, they don't get into the finer details on the website, which is, a bit of a shame. I'd like to know more.
Yeah.
But they do mention collaborating with researchers from the Institute of Noetic Sciences. I mean, we're talking about the Galileo Commission, neuroscientists.
Mm-hmm.
They're not messing around.
Okay, you've got my attention, but what does this actually look like? I mean, are students, like, meditating over textbooks with equations swirling around their heads?
Probably not the equations, no. But I think you're hitting on something important here. This is about changing how we think about learning, entirely. Live4energy seems to be saying that our minds can do so much more than we give them credit for. And maybe by tapping into, deeper levels of consciousness, we can learn in ways we never even thought possible.
Okay, so maybe no teleportation, but still a pretty radical shift from standardized tests, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, it's still early days, but it's this kind of thinking that could really change education as we know it.
No, that's a thought. One thing on their website that really caught my eye was this random event technology. They're measuring the coherence of learning environments. Like, what is that?
Now, that is interesting. Sounds like they want to measure something that's, usually considered intangible. The energy of a space, the focus, We've all been in those classrooms where you can just feel the tension.
Oh, yeah.
And then others where everything's focused, engaged. Live4energy wants to measure that feeling, that energy.
Wow, measuring the vibe of a classroom. Next level. And you know, I'm all about innovation in education. This is really pushing the boundaries. So we're using cutting edge technology to unlock this hidden potential,
Yeah.
measure something as, like, I don't even know, intangible as coherence. Have they actually seen results with this?
Well, they do talk about using that 35 symptom chart, right, to track progress. And we've talked about some of those self-reported improvements, right? But one of the things they highlight is how, and get this, quantum entanglement, this idea that particles can be linked even across vast distances, they say that helps explain why group learning, those environments, can either, really help or really hurt individual progress.
Hold on. Quantum entanglement in the classroom. So the way the group is interacting, that energy, it's actually impacting how people learn.
That's what they're saying. It's a bold claim, but it speaks to their commitment to tying these scientific concepts into their methods. They're not shying away from complex ideas, they're running towards them, suggesting that these principles can teach us about learning in ways we haven't even thought of before.
Okay, hold on. My brain is like still processing that. They're saying that the energy of the group like literally affects how each person learns because of quantum physics.
It's wild, right?
hmm
And remember, they want to actually measure this whole coherence thing, this random event technology. It's like,
They're going to have like a coherence meter in the classroom.
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Imagine you could actually see how the energy changes in a classroom and how that's affecting the students. We're talking about taking all the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, no more assuming. You just see the data right there in front of you. Man, for someone like me who, who's always believed in the power of education, this is exciting.
It really is. I mean, whether Live4Energy's vision pans out exactly the way they see it, it's definitely a good reminder that we shouldn't be afraid to, think outside the box when it comes to learning.
Right, like if our understanding of consciousness, energy, even quantum physics is changing, shouldn't the way we teach change too?
Exactly. And that's what I think is so interesting about this whole deep dive, is that Live4Energy is like asking questions we didn't even know to ask before.
It's like they're opening up a whole new world and we're
Yeah.
getting a sneak peek. So to everyone listening out there, here's something to think about. What if they're right? What if we really can tap into this next level of learning, this deeper consciousness, this energy? What would that mean for you, for your kids, for the way we educate future generations? It's definitely something to think about. Until next time, keep asking questions, and as always, keep diving deep.